Light was a lively boy who had always dreamed of becoming a successful adventurer to give his family a comfortable life. He left his small village and headed for the city to register at the Adventurers Guild, but the path ahead of him was far from easy. In this world, there were 9 races, and humans were considered the lowest among them, making them constant targets of discrimination and contempt. The moment he set foot in the city, he was confronted by that harsh reality when a beastkin adventurer roughly yelled at him to get out of the way. Even though Light wasn't blocking him, he apologized and stepped aside. He continued on until he finally reached the guild and registered as a beginner adventurer. The receptionist explained that all beginners start at rank F and asked if he had a talent that might help with his evaluation. Excitedly, he told her his talent was called Unlimited Summon, which allowed him to bring objects out of thin air. To prove it, he activated his strange device and summoned a card that represented a fork. When he launched it, the fork materialized on the table, but it was bent, leaving him embarrassed. He tried again several times and managed to summon a rotten apple and a moldy piece of bread. The receptionist realized his ability wasn't very useful and assigned him the lowest possible rank. Light accepted her judgment with a smile and asked if there were any jobs he could start right away. She pointed him to the board with simple quests, but when she noticed his confusion, she realized he couldn't read common among humans with limited education. She guided him towards simple labor jobs like carrying stones or gathering firewood, even though the pay was minimal. He accepted, and after a long, hard day, he earned just enough to rent a small room, relying on his talent for food and believing he could endure. But a group of beastkin were waiting for him, intentionally blocking his path until he bumped into them. Their leader accused him of dirtying his clothes and stole Light's money pouch despite his pleas, fearing he'd be left homeless. The leader struck him hard and left him sprawled in the mud. Passers-by advised him to spend the night in the slum area where most humans lived. As despair filled him, a gentle hand reached out to help. He grabbed it instinctively, then realized his muddy hand had dirtied the delicate hand of an elven girl. He quickly apologized, but she reassured him softly, easing his troubled heart in a cruel world. When he couldn't believe her kindness, she bent down and hugged him, while nearby people sneered, appalled that she would lower herself to a human. She helped him to his feet, and behind her stood a diverse group, introducing themselves as the Tribal Union, a legendary team made up of 1 member from each race. They had been looking for a human to complete their ranks. A beastkin named Garo introduced himself first, followed by the elf Sasha, who introduced the rest of the group. Drago of the Dragonkin, Diablo of the Demons, Abero the Oni, the Dark Elf, Nano the Dwarf, and Santor the Centaur. They explained their goal to end discrimination and build a world of equality. To Light, it sounded like a dream too good to be true, but he didn't miss the chance and joined them happily. They set off on many adventures together. Light was the weakest, often protected by Drago and Sasha, who warned him from getting close to monsters. Sasha tended his wounds and constantly told him to stay behind them. Her concern for him became obvious, drawing teasing comments from the others. Flustered, she denied it, and Light felt frustrated that his only contribution was carrying their luggage. But Drago encouraged him, saying Light's delicious tea was reason enough to keep him around, which filled Light with satisfaction as he cheerfully followed them deeper into the dungeon. When they reached a large chamber with only 1 entrance and exit, the team exchanged silent glances, agreeing this was the right spot to carry out their plan. Meanwhile, Light was busy making tea, unaware that this was the moment he'd be cast out from the party. When they told him, he could barely process it, stammering as he asked why they were kicking him out. The reason was simple: he was useless. Insults rained down on him as the group called him and all humans ignorant and worthless. Sasha's gentle demeanor turned into disgust. Her earlier affection now felt like nothing more than an act. They explained that the higher authorities had deemed his unlimited summon talent worthless, and that he wasn't fit for any special position, so they had been ordered to get rid of him. Their earlier kindness was merely a performance to make him drop his guard before betrayal. Their racist arrogance grew as the insults got harsher, and soon they attacked to finish him off quickly before anyone found out the truth. Garo stepped forward, extending sharp metal claws, and slashed Light's face in a flash. The blow made it clear there was no escape. Light ran for his life as their laughter turned into taunting jeers filled with racist venom. Sasha shot an arrow that pierced his leg, sending him crashing down with a cry that echoed through the chamber, while they took twisted pleasure in his screams. Their assault intensified. Garo beat him harder, intending to make it look like Light had been killed by a wild monster, stopping short of real death only because their orders required it. As he crawled, trying to escape, Light's hand brushed against a glowing teleportation circle etched into the ground. Noticing it, they rushed to finish him, but the circle activated just in time, whisking him away to a random spot within the dungeon before their strike could land. His luck didn't improve much. He ended up in the lowest floors, where death waited at every corner. Thinking of his family and the betrayal he'd faced, sadness burned into anger, igniting his will to survive. He stood up with determination to seek revenge and destroy those who betrayed him, but a low growl behind him stopped him cold. He turned to see a monstrous creature at level 1000 radiating pure menace, a mythical beast no novice human could ever hope to face. His heart trembled, but he invoked his unlimited summon skill, pressing the button repeatedly on his device. A surge of unknown power filled him, evolving his skill into something far greater. A massive magic circle formed around him, and the summoning device roared with energy. Just as the beast lunged at him, the summoning completed, and a servant emerged her level, an unbelievable 9,999. The beast's power vanished instantly. The scene blurred before his eyes as the maid bathed in radiant light knelt before him, healing his wounds with her lips, unable to bear the sight of his injured skin without tending to it. Light couldn't believe he was completely healed. The maid asked his name, and when he answered, she smiled with deep joy and swore loyalty to him unto death, in accordance with the honor of her kind. He asked for her name first, and she introduced herself as Mai, the ever-seeking maid, born from an extremely rare summoning card within his unlimited summon ability. Doubt filled Light. How could such a useless skill produce a maid with a level of 9,999? Mai asked permission to use her appraisal ability to read his talent's full details, and he agreed. Using her power, she discovered that his true abilities were sealed behind strong barriers, invisible to anyone below her level. She told him his talent was far deeper and more powerful than he realized, and that its results depended on the density of magical energy around them. The air above ground was too thin in magic, she explained, but deep within the dungeons, it was overflowing, hence why she could manifest here. She praised his bravery for reaching such depths to unlock his potential, but he confessed that it wasn't bravery, he'd been betrayed and cast down. Tears streamed as he recounted how his teammates, who claimed to seek equality, had deceived him. He swore to take revenge on every one of them. Mai embraced him, admitting she couldn't fully grasp his pain, but promised to do whatever he wished, and that destroying those who hurt him would be easy for her. But he refused, not out of mercy, but because he wanted revenge by his own hands, even if he was weak now. Mai knelt again and vowed to help him grow strong enough to fulfill that goal, saying she truly believed in him. Light thanked her sincerely. Having one powerful maid wasn't enough. Light decided to tap deeper into the dungeon's rich magical energy and began summoning more high-ranked maids to build a kingdom that would serve as the foundation for his grand revenge. 3 years passed since that day. Light had become lord of hundreds of maids in a grand palace he built with his own hands, with Mai always by his side as she promised from the start. The maids adored him, cheering his name joyfully, while Mai maintained order among them. One morning, he went to the local market, where shopkeepers greeted him warmly. One invited him for breakfast, and others told him supplies were running low. Light promised to fix the issue quickly, but Mai asked him to leave such small matters to her. He realized that as his kingdom's population grew, a new supply system was needed. He asked Mai about the rest of the legendary summons. She explained that Yuki, the beast tamer, was mapping the areas near the dungeons and monitoring nearby forests for threats, confident in her exceptional skills. She added that Ely, the sorceress, was working hard to develop new magic for his grand plan, despite its complexity. When he asked about Naz, the vampire knight skilled in close combat, but slow to grasp things, Mai told him she had assigned Naz to guard the castle walls to prevent trouble. Light didn't mind Naz's liveliness brought energy to the place. When he returned to the palace, he was greeted by Jack, the last of his 4 summons, who invited him for a new training session. Mai immediately warned Jack about his tone, insisting he address her master properly with the title Lord. Jack ignored her protests, remaining as stern and unbothered as ever. Light told Mai not to worry, saying he thought of Jack as an older brother, then agreed to join him for training. In the training yard, both prepared to spar. Light dashed forward at incredible speed and punched Jack in the stomach hard enough to make his iron body stagger a step back. Impressed, Jack praised Light's strength, saying any ordinary adventurer would have died from a hit like that, though his own tough body could handle it. They met again at the center, fists colliding, and continued trading swift blows, which Jack dodged lightly. Meanwhile, Naz was patrolling the castle halls as usual. Some maids greeted her kindly, saying her presence as a guard made them feel safe. Their words delighted her, which was exactly what they intended, teasing her affectionately. They jokingly suggested she inspect her master's room to make sure it was safe. Naz eagerly rushed to do it, only to meet Mai coming out of the room. Surprised, she asked why Mai was there during Light's training. Mai blushed and claimed she had been cleaning the room while he was away. Naz insisted on checking for herself and stepped in. Finding the bed messy, she asked Mai if she did that on purpose, but Mai quickly composed herself, saying that was just her unique method of making beds. Naz, impressed, asked to learn it, but Mai refused, saying it was a trade secret. Naz then remembered she had a message from the other maids and handed it to Mai. Reading it, Mai realized the maids were protesting her monopoly over the master's room and how she prevented anyone else from cleaning it. Mai calmly told Naz she would handle it personally and gave her some coins to keep quiet. Naz happily accepted and hurried off to the market, buying soft milk-filled pastries and eating them with delight. When she returned to the palace, she found Yuki sitting on a high balcony. Naz asked if she was done with her work in the forests, and Yuki, clearly exhausted, said she'd finished mapping the required areas and came back to deliver them. Naz congratulated her and went back on patrol until she reached the throne hall. Finding it empty, she began shouting freely, then sat on the throne itself, playing with it. She accidentally broke the wing off an angel statue, quickly put it back, and fled in panic, terrified of Mai's reaction. In the training grounds, Light and Jack kept fighting until the latter suggested ending the day and taking a break. They headed to the spacious bath, and as the two relaxed in the large tub, Jack praised Light's rapid progress in gaining skills, confirming that most dungeon monsters no longer posed a threat to him, and that only a few surface opponents could match him. However, he warned him about enemies who hadn't forgotten his downfall and sought to destroy him whenever the opportunity arose. Light's features hardened with seriousness as he recalled the memory of his old betrayal, confirming that he wouldn't rest until he avenged himself against those who betrayed him. In Mei's rooms, she summoned the 4 maids who had written the letter and confronted them with its harsh content. They became flustered before her and apologized, saying that what they wrote was merely an expression of their support for her, seeing how exhausted she was from work. She responded firmly that she didn't need pity, demanding that each one focus on her tasks and return to her work. Mei refused the maid's request to clean the master's room. Instead, she punished them by assigning them to clean the hallway, leading to the throne room by hand. They objected that the hallway was far too long, but she ordered them to keep working to stay busy while she went out with Light on a mission. Outside, Naz was pressed against the glass of a shop, staring at a metal gauntlet she wished to buy, but her money wasn't enough. While she was absorbed in staring, she bumped into Ellie, who asked her what she was looking at. Naz pointed at the gauntlet, then wondered why Ellie had returned early even though she was supposed to be overseeing the new construction work. Ellie answered that the work was going well, so she took the opportunity to have a short break. The conversation quickly turned into an argument about which of them was closer to the master and more important to him. Ellie confirmed that she was directly participating in the revenge plan he was putting together, and that she had spent an evening with him drinking tea and discussing progress on the work, adding that she planned to prepare a special dinner at their next meeting. Naz felt jealous and announced her desire to have tea with him too, pointing out her skill in close combat and offering her help whenever Ellie needed it. Ellie smiled, confirming that she would take advantage of her offer at the right time. Then Naz returned to her usual daily rounds. In the palace, the 4 maids were plotting against Mei again, and began whispering that she was as strict as history's tyrants. They thought about complaining to the master about her, but fear of her punishment dissuaded them. One of them thought that the reason for Light's attachment to Mei was that she was the first to summon him, while the one with purple hair added that summoning Yuki took 2 months after that, meaning they had spent a long time alone in the dungeons. Their jealousy ignited, and they thrashed about in envious madness before starting superstitious rituals, repeating words to get rid of Mei. It didn't last long before Mei heard their whispering and burst into the room. They panicked and began apologizing, insisting that only their jealousy had driven them to talk. She explained to them that their imagination was misplaced during the 2 months between her summoning and Yuki's summoning. Light had spent all his time studying magic and learning combat arts without paying attention to anything else. The maid's tension eased a bit, but Mei clarified that she hadn't been as harsh on them as they thought, and now it was clear to her that she hadn't been strict enough. So she ordered them to clean the throne room as well, since they had time to practice superstitions. They complied silently, fearing her punishment, and began working until they finished cleaning the entire hall. While wiping the throne, the one with green hair dropped the broken angel wing that Naz had shattered before. The maids were terrified, thinking the fault was theirs, and wondered what Mei would do to them if she found out. The next morning, Light entered the dungeon to find Naz, Ellie, and Yuki waiting for him. He greeted them with a good morning, and Naz and Ellie soon returned to their usual bickering. Suddenly, a monster emerged from the shadows, and Light froze when he realized it was a hellhound. Despite his current strength, the sight brought him back to the terror of the past, and his blood ran cold. His companions, however, became enraged that the beast had upset their master. Naz drew her sword, ready to cut it to pieces. Ellie announced her intention to erase this species of creatures from existence, while Yuki wondered if she could push the beast into the depths of hell itself. The creature backed away in terror under the weight of their crushing aura, but Light calmed them and regained his composure. He approached the beast and patted its head reassuringly. He knew that one joke from him was enough for his legendary summons to wipe out an entire species of creatures, so he chose to be cautious. He finally turned to them and ordered them to move toward the surface, announcing that the hour of revenge had begun. Garo was walking through the town of the demi-beasts, and in his role as the hero of beasts, everyone flirted with him and showed admiration. A man from the end of the alley offered to trade his sister to gain his favor, but Garo wasn't interested right now. He spotted a human rummaging through garbage looking for a bite to eat, so he turned down another path to knock him to the ground and spit on his face for fun. After that, Garo and his followers entered a private room to start polishing his reputation, so to speak. They told him they were amazed at his transformation from a poor kid from the beast districts to the most likely candidate candidate to become the next president, and that the village chief himself had acknowledged his strength, so they asked him how he'd come this far. Garo bragged that he chose his jobs based on gut instinct, like the one 3 years ago where he was paid a lot to pretend to join the race unity party, and all he had to do was get rid of a human who was supposedly some lord. It was never clear whether Light had died or not, but as far as Garo was concerned, in his weak state, it wasn't possible for him to survive out there alone, so he decided to forget about the boy. Minutes later, May entered the room asking about Light, so Garo's followers got angry and insulted her right to address him that sharply, but Garo didn't mind because he wanted to hear what she meant. May explained that she was a maid serving Master Light and made up a story about Light being from a noble bloodline and that she was traveling the continent searching for him. Garo showed his doubt because those who hired him for that job 3 years ago had done extensive research on Light, and there was no mention of any noble affiliation, but May's appearance suggested she was a maid from a wealthy household, so it seemed like a good opportunity to make a lot of money. He asked her what she wanted. She said she discovered that Light had died in the cell 3 years ago, and she wanted Garo to lead her to his last location to pay her respects. She offered to pay him solid gold for the trouble, but Garo's instincts warned him that it was a trap. It seemed suspicious that she'd pay all that money just to get them to a cell. Since May looked like an ordinary human, Garo lessened his suspicion, since he didn't see anything in humans capable of defeating him. He agreed to lead her to Light's last known location, but he stated that he wasn't doing it for the money, but because Light had been a good friend, and he wanted to help as much as he could. May knew everything he said was a complete lie, but she stuck to her role and thanked him. A month passed as they approached the place where Light had disappeared. Garo had no intention of fulfilling the terms of the agreement. He decided to attack May there and leave her to die like Light had died. When they arrived, May fell to her knees in despair, imagining what Light must have felt back then. Garo tried to weave a story about a beast attack and Light falling into a teleportation trap before anyone could save him. And while he was talking, some of his men started blocking the exit so May couldn't escape when they attacked. They were about to pounce on her. Suddenly, May said that if only she had accompanied him from the beginning, he wouldn't have been deceived or disappointed by the likes of these people. Upon hearing this phrase, Garo got confused and backed off, because no one except the defeated party members and the higher-ups knew the truth of what happened here. He demanded to know how she learned that and accused her of spying for one of the other races. May felt insulted. She was and still is a loyal maid to Master Light with her entire being, and for Garo to compare her to something else was a crime punishable by death. Garo felt a terrible pressure coming from May, and despite her being an ordinary human, his instincts told him he needed to retreat immediately. The moment May was getting furious and covering the wall with demi-beast blood, Light suddenly appeared, ordering her to stop because Garo was his personal prey. Garo and his men were stunned no one had heard him approach. Garo couldn't believe his eyes, since it hadn't crossed his mind that Light had survived at all. Light stood coldly, announcing that he'd returned for revenge, so Garo laughed mockingly and considered it a joke that a human at level 15 thought he could take revenge on an opponent whose level was 150. Garo didn't understand how Light had managed to get this far, but he was certain that if he killed Light now and brought his corpse, he'd be promoted to president rank quickly. Light sighed and asked him if he really wasn't going to ask about the secret of his survival before resorting to violence, but Garo assumed he'd survived by luck and that May had saved him after he teleported through the trap, which was what actually happened. Garo ordered his men to attack, so two immediately pounced, but their heads separated from their bodies before they got close, with a quick strike from May. The rest couldn't follow her movement and started to panic, so Garo ordered them to calm down and claimed that what happened was just a coincidence. Meanwhile, Light thanked May for taking the initiative to protect him, then asked her to guard the exit and prevent anyone from fleeing because he'd handle the rest himself. Garo tried to reassure his men, confirming the impossibility of losing to humans lower in rank than them, but Light got fed up with his repeated talk about his superiority over humans, when in reality he was the weakest. Garo refused to believe that because everyone knows humans are weak, and their magical energy is limited compared to other races, so they couldn't be stronger than Light. So Light asked him, if he really believed that, then how did the heads of two of his men roll on the ground if they were all stronger than him? Garo answered that what happened was a careless mistake, then rushed with his men toward Light. The latter closed his eyes and crushed them effortlessly, like someone chasing dogs, barely lifting his hand. Garo fell to the ground stunned, having taken a blow stronger than any previous blow without realizing where it came from. Light stood over him, asking if this was really the best he and his supposedly superior race could offer. Garo couldn't stand Light's condescending look, so he used his last card by crushing a necklace in his hand, releasing through it a giant creature of the Fenrir type, said to be level 500, to kill Light on his behalf. He arrogantly declared this was the end of the road for Light, but Light told him that level 500 wasn't even enough to pose a challenge to him. Garo thought fear had made his opponent lose his mind, confirming that Light wouldn't be able to defeat that creature alone, and ordered him to kneel and ask for a merciful death if he wanted to escape torture. Light saw that the difference in power hadn't become clear yet, so he set his staff aside and said he wouldn't move from his spot, and invited him to use his strongest attack. Garo still thought his opponent was pretending to be confident, so he gathered tremendous energy in a beast's howl strike that was enough to wipe out a small fortress, and launched it at Light. The dust cleared after a moment, and there was Light standing as he was, unharmed, and not having moved an inch. He considered Garo's bragging about that attack shameful, and even wondered at his calling the creature a Fenrir, when it was nothing more than a weak pup of its species. He pulled out a summoning card and said he'd show him what a real Fenrir was, then summoned a mighty wolf ranked as Lord of Wolves, whose level was 9,000, exceeding anything Garo had seen in his life. The wolf breathed in the direction of Garo's creature, and the latter immediately froze inside a block of ice. Then Garo realized the size of the mess he'd gotten himself into. Light told him that summoning the Lord of Wolves was just for show, because he could have eliminated Garo's creature himself if he wanted to. And to show the real difference between them, he activated his status screen in front of him, displaying that he was at level 9,999. Terror seized Garo then, as he hadn't even known that levels could reach this point, and he began to think Light wasn't human but a disguised being. But that didn't matter in reality, as Garo put his weapon and pride on the ground and knelt begging for his life, claiming he was just following his country's orders and wouldn't have betrayed it if not for those orders, and raised his face looking for mercy that might not come. Before that could happen, Light had some questions for Garo. The first was about the lords whom his superiors had ordered him to search for, but Garo had no information to offer, only saying he knew nothing. This was followed by a question about why the superiors ordered Light killed, despite confirming he wasn't a lord, and Garo repeated in his answer that he carried out what was asked of him without deeper knowledge. Light turned to the rest of the demi-beasts, asking about their knowledge of the matter, and everyone tried hard to lie, hoping to gain pardon, but May finished them all off with merciless cutting for their audacity to claim honesty in Light's presence. Light returned to ask one last question, warning that May's inner eye could detect truth from lies, and that the consequences would be terrible for anyone who tried to deceive. Light asked Garo if he thought he could wage war against the surface nations in his current state, and Garo hesitated before answering that his tremendous power gave him an advantage at the start of the battle, but he would lose in the end because he was just one individual without soldiers or weapons, or enough element to seize victory, over a nation with armies and military power. The answer didn't surprise Light, it was expected, so he pulled out a teleportation card and transported Garo and May to the throne hall. Garo collapsed in on himself from fear of what he dreaded, then opened his eyes and was shocked by the sight of Light's army and its majesty. Light advanced toward his throne and called on his followers to display their levels so Garo could grasp the real power. And most of Light's ranks exceeded level 5,000, with their weakest no less than 1,500. Before this scene, the same question came back to Light, and Garo's face answered with what was enough for Light to know the truth. Light didn't really grant mercy, but stepped back from the promise of mercy for one moment, then changed it to continuous torture that made Garo beg for death. Garo realized he had no ability to face that, as Light at that moment had become like an unstoppable lord. Light returned the next day to his birthplace, searching for his family to take them with him to his dungeon city. However, what he found was nothing but burned ruins and decomposed bodies. It turned out that the village had been wiped out about 6 months earlier by unknown forces, and no one survived. Light searched through the rubble for bodies to bury them properly in a funeral befitting them, and found some comfort in not finding any trace of his siblings, so he hoped that they might still be alive somewhere, while his father and mother were among the victims. Gold asked his master if he was okay, realizing the situation was hard on him. Light answered that he would hold himself together, and that they now needed to focus on the mission, asking Gold and Neom to gather as much information as they could. He knew his army could match the armies of the world, but he saw it as reckless to wage direct war without proper preparation, so he wanted to know the strengths of other nations and their details. He was certain that the destruction of his village was connected to him being accused of being one of the masters, so he decided to uncover what this title was, and why blood was spilled because of it. He swore to himself that if it turned out to be a conspiracy by power-hungry tyrants, he would burn the world to ashes and force the culprits to swallow its ash. Gold realized the extent of his anger and warned him not to let his energy leak in front of people, because just its emission could kill ordinary humans. Light apologized and pulled out a mask known as the Fool's Mask to suppress his energy and hide his identity. Then he stood before his parents' graves apologizing for his inability to save them, before taking off with Neom and Gold, flying toward the city of Dagas. Neom asked what Light planned to do there. Gold told her to be careful calling him that while they were on the surface. Light explained that he would use the name Dark to hide his true identity from prying eyes, and Neom nodded in understanding. He clarified that his goal in Dagas was to register himself as an adventurer under the name Dark, to gradually climb the ranks and gather information from the guild's higher-ups. After some distance flying, Neom spotted the city's horizon, so Light pointed out they needed to land in the forest to avoid attention, even though Gold's shiny armor would make them stand out anyway. As they crossed through the forest, they came across a scene of a human merchant being robbed by a group of dwarves. They tried to avoid interfering, but the gleam of Gold's armor drew attention to them, and the situation turned against the thieves, who ended up tied up in the middle of the road. The merchant and his son thanked their rescuers warmly and offered to accompany them to the city as a reward for their kindness. On the way, the boy described his admiration for Gold's skill in taking down the dwarves with stunning ease. His father thought they were a famous adventurer group, but Light told him they hadn't registered yet. The man expressed his surprise, then explained that Dagas was the ideal place to register because it housed one of the largest guilds and was located on the border between the elf, dwarf, and human kingdoms. It had a large percentage of humans, making it the most welcoming city for them. He also told them he ran a hotel specifically for humans there and invited them to stay if they needed shelter. After a short time, they arrived at Dagas and headed to the city entrance on foot, leaving the dragon to fly away. Neom and Gold saw the surface for the first time, and the city spoke to them through its stalls filled with armor and weapons, which Light explained was due to the abundance of adventurers and proximity to the dwarf kingdom specialized in blacksmithing. When they reached the guild, Neom noticed humans being scattered and avoiding passing other races, so Light concluded that treatment here was harsh despite the calm facade. He approached the registration desk to begin his path as a beginner adventurer. He was assigned a starting position at beginner rank, so a series of quests awaited him to raise his rank. But the first need was shelter, so he remembered what the dragon had mentioned about his hotel, and they headed there. He approached the dragon with a request to rent the entire top floor and prevent any entry to it, even from hotel staff, and placed a bag of gold in front of him that raised surprise. The dragon hesitated about accepting such an amount, but Light's insistence won him over, so the dragon swallowed his objection and prepared the rooms. In the upper room, Light placed sensory reversing spells on the windows to prevent eavesdropping, leaving behind a calm that allowed him to sit and rest. Neom saw danger for Light on the surface in his hesitation, and thought to herself that his return to the lower city would be safer, but her suggestion was understood as an attempt to marginalize him from his revenge plan, which stirred great anger in his chest. She realized her mistake and begged his pardon for her rudeness. The tension built up until Gold intervened with light humor, expressing that Light had a tendency to take revenge with his own hands without intermediaries, so the intensity of the situation lessened, and the atmosphere turned into something like a calm settlement. Light bowed, apologizing to Neom for his outburst, realizing what she said was out of concern for him. She acknowledged the mistake was hers because she overstepped her bounds by speaking, and begged him to allow her to renew her loyalty to him. Light didn't see the necessity in that, but he agreed. So Neom gently lifted his foot and kissed it, as kissing the foot in this world is considered the highest symbol of respect for a leader. However, Light wasn't comfortable with this custom, as he remembered how strange the situation was the day his followers lined up, one after another, performing the same act, when summoned for the first time. Even Gold found the scene odd, especially since Neom seemed to be enjoying what she was doing more than she should. The next morning, they headed out toward the dungeon. As they crossed the city streets, people's gazes rose toward them. Gold's shiny armor attracted a lot of attention. Neom was extremely beautiful, and Light looked strange with the mask covering his face, but it fit perfectly with his new identity as Dark. Long lines formed at the dungeon entrance, and Gold noticed the complete absence of elves. Light explained that an ongoing dispute between elves and dwarves over ownership of the dungeon made both avoid each other. Neom praised his wisdom in every answer. Light thanked her politely, then asked if it was necessary for her to get so close to him that her body touched his head. She answered that her duty was to protect him at close range at all times. Before he could respond, he spotted 3 people cutting the line. One short in stature, who seemed like a servant, another who looked like an apprentice, and the third a warrior with sharp, confident movements and a heavy weapon on his back. Some humans were afraid to object to him for fear of his brutality, but Light didn't care about that, and stood in front of him objecting to his behavior. The elf became furious that a human dared address him, and reached for his sword, but the old man accompanying him discouraged him from causing chaos, so he returned to the end of the line, muttering an explicit threat that Light would regret insulting him. After the elf left, the humans standing in line thanked him for his courage in confronting the tyrant, and the children they had met before came to express their gratitude after being unable to do so earlier. Light said what he did was for personal reasons and not for praise, but they remained grateful. One of the children asked Gold if his armor was made of gold. Neom answered that gold was too weak to make real armor, and before the child could embarrass him with another question, his friends interrupted him. However, Gold intervened, laughing, declaring that he indeed wore the armor just to attract attention, as there was no color more fitting for a knight who aspired to be a shining example. The children asked if this was their first time inside the dungeon. Light confirmed it and inquired why they thought so. They explained that the floor was vast and adventurers had to camp in it, while Light's team didn't carry any camping gear, so they concluded they were beginners. Then the guard called the next group to enter the dungeon, so the children said goodbye and headed inside. Light looked at his companions, wondering if they should carry fake bags so they wouldn't be thought of as amateurs. Despite having everything they needed inside their magic boxes, they didn't want to be considered beginners. Then they advanced toward the gate when their turn came to enter. This was the first time Light had entered a dungeon since going through the depths of the abyss. As dungeons are known for being filled with mana energy that becomes denser, the deeper one goes, leading to the generation of monsters and traps in their depths to become a world of their own. As soon as they reached the first floor, Light cast a concealment spell on all of them to avoid being tracked by enemies. Then they took off flying toward the second floor. At the same time, the elf who had confronted Light earlier was venting his anger on a group of orcs, not believing that a human had dared address him with such boldness. His name was Kito, and he claimed to be a legendary hero from the elf kingdom, with what was believed to be Master's blood running through his veins, and he saw himself as worthy of reverence. He blamed his weak level for what happened, but Yanni reminded him that reaching level 1500 was considered very high for his people. However, Kito saw it as still not enough, as he wanted to possess enough power to crush everyone who mocked him. Yanni expressed sympathy, as he shared the desire for revenge against those who rejected his research and exiled him, so he offered to use his research to help him raise his level further. Meanwhile, Light and his companions had reached the third floor after defeating hordes of orcs. Light saw that it was time to return, having gathered enough evidence to present to the guild, and the battle had covered him with dust, so he wanted to shower. As soon as Neom heard that, she quickly offered to wash his entire body when they returned, but he ignored her in silence. On the way back, they met the children they had encountered before and joined them, but a huge noise roared from deep in the forest, and dozens of wolves came running toward them. The children shouted that they should retreat because they couldn't fight them, but Light pointed out that the real danger wasn't the wolves, but the larger creature approaching behind them, a giant insect with 4 deadly scythes. The 4-scythed insect appeared to them from among the trees, which led to Mia's entire team being frightened. Mia's brother couldn't believe what he was seeing, and they thought they were doomed now. Then Mia's brother asked Mia to use one of her spells, but Mia said she would try to do that. Then Mia's brother asked Light to help them distract the monster so they could escape, but Light told them, "Since you want to run away, we will fight this monster and eliminate it." Gold saw that this monster was strong, and Nemomo thought it was around level 500, but Mia's brother thought this was impossible, and that they should notify the guild, but Light told him they would be fine. Then the monster attacked them, and Gold moved forward to attack the monster. They exchanged several strikes with each other, and Gold was almost hit, but he retreated backward. But Gold thought this monster was good and blocked all his strikes. But now it was Light's turn, and he launched a fire strike at it, but the monster managed to deflect it, and it almost came back to hit them, but they dodged it. Then Gemra asked Mia to support them with a spell, but Mia was shocked by Light's power, and that he cast a spell without an amulet, and that this was crazy, and how are they not as shocked as her? Then Gold told Mia to wait for the best from him, and that he would now show her how a knight fights on the battlefield. Then, the monster directed a strike at Gold, but Gold was waiting for his strike and blocked it with his shield, which led to completely shattering the monster's arm. Then he directed a strike that cut off another arm of the monster. Light was ready to direct his strike, but the monster almost blocked Light's strike. But Light was able to trick it, and the fire strikes changed their path, and he succeeded in hitting the monster from behind. And the monster was hit again by fire arrows, which led to Mia being surprised by Light's power, and that he could control more than 30 arrows. But Light, after succeeding in completely destroying the monster, said it was time to finish it off. But the monster fled, and here Light thought the monster was smart because it didn't want to die. But Light ignited fire in front of the monster to block its escape route, but the monster tried to use its wings, and here Light asked Nemomo to finish off the monster. Nemomo flew high and directed a strike at the monster that caused it to fall to the ground. Finished. After that, Nemomo heard Gold muttering at her, but Nemomo got very angry at him and asked him not to chatter too much. But Gold saw that Nemomo had destroyed all the useful parts, and that they couldn't sell it now, which led to Nemomo being shocked by this. But on the other hand, Mia was still shocked that only 3 of them killed the monster. Then Nemomo apologized to Light, but Light told Nemomo that it was okay. After that, Gemra was able to get the monster's gem, and Gold thought this was good because it didn't shatter into small pieces. But Light thought that now he could submit it for a rank upgrade. Then Mia's brother asked Light if they were a famous team, or even their rank was B or A, or even S. But Light told him they were in the F rank, and that they were beginners, which greatly shocked Mia's brother. The rest of Mia's team was shocked by Light, and his team's defeat of the monster. Then Mia used her magic and brought a water ball so Light could wash his hands of the mud. When Light did so, he asked them if any of them wanted to share it too, and Gemra also washed his hands with him. After Light finished, He thanked them for providing him water to wash his hands, but Mia's brother told Light that they were the ones thanking them for saving their lives, and the whole team thanked them. Then Mia's brother offered Light to stay with them because they would set up a camp and asked them to join them, but Light told him he didn't want to be a burden on them. But Mia's brother thought it was late, and traveling at night was dangerous to their lives, and also that Mia was eager to talk with them about magic. Then they camped and prepared food. Mia discovered that Light's parents were magicians, so naturally he would be this skilled. Light told Mia she was talented too, but Mia told him she wasn't at his level and that she used simple magic. But Mia's brother told her, "Isn't this amazing?" But Mia told him, "Of course not," and also told him about the existence of 3 types of spells in magic, like combat spells, which are fire arrows and ice swords, and they are designated for targeting one person. As for tactical spells, like the firewall, it affects a much wider range. Finally, strategic spells, which are those capable of causing a global effect, like tsunamis and earthquakes, but they need a large group of magicians gathering their energy and reciting spells together. And Light executed one of them without reciting the spell, and she hadn't heard of a human doing exactly this. Gold confirmed she was right about this, and Nemomo also discovered that Mia understood magic a lot. But Mia's brother asked Mia to calm down a little. Then he said he didn't understand magic much, but it was clear that Light was a good-hearted man. He also told his sister Mia that she was good enough to get a recommendation from the Magic Academy, and that he was sure the day would come when she would cast tactical spells. But Mia asked her brother to stop before he ruined her hair. Then Light asked Mia's brother if he meant the nation that all races created together, which is the Kingdom of Nine. Gold thought that Mia was a talented magician to be invited to the best magic academy in the world, but Mia's brother told them that their parents died because of the plague and that they formed the team to earn their living, and that his goal now is to gather enough money from their adventure in the labyrinth to send Mia to the Magic Academy. But Jamera told him that this wasn't fair because that was their goal too, and Mia was also happy to be there with him. She asked them not to do anything foolish, but her brother told her not to worry. Here Light remembered his little sister, then told them that everything would be fine, and that he knew they would succeed and achieve their goal, especially since Mia had talent. Mia said she was happy to hear this, even if it was just a compliment, but Light meant every word he told them, which made Mia feel embarrassed, and she thanked Light. Then Mia's brother asked Light what drove them to become adventurers. Light said that his father died in a house fire, and Nemomo continued the story, saying that Light was covered in burns at the time, and they were on a journey to find medicine that could heal him. Gold also told them that they owed a great debt to Light's father, and that's why they were traveling with him. Then Jamera asked an important question. Were Nemomo and Gold in a relationship or not? But Nemomo immediately objected that she wouldn't be involved with a golden person. But Gold thought they agreed on something because he doesn't date mature women whose beauty matches his shining golden aura. Then we moved to Kaido after he finished off a monster, and on the other side was his friend named Yanak cheering him on. But Kaido asked him to be quiet because the sword he had was dangerous for killing monsters, not for cutting up small insects. But Yanak was collecting some samples from one of the monsters for his research, doing all this to find a way to surpass the growth limits imposed on each race. Their next step was to obtain the basic component for human experiments, which excited Kaito to hunt more. Then we moved to the guild, where the guild employee was very happy after receiving the monster loot from Light, and said he would convert these jewels into money right away. But Nemomo believed Light deserved an SX ranking. Then Light asked the guild employee to convert the jewels. The guild employee offered Light's team to have a meal while waiting, and that it would be a very luxurious meal. Then the team went outside, and Nemomo wanted everyone to treat Light with love or she would show them the other side. But Light asked Nemomo to keep the violence inside the labyrinths. While they were walking in the street, they caught the attention of all the adventurers. Then 2 adventurers stopped them and asked if they were the charming black team, which surprised Light at this name. But Nemomo drew her sword at them and asked what they wanted from Light. But the adventurer didn't want anything from him and introduced himself as Sophalon and his friend Gilbert, and that they heard this team had defeated the multi-legged monster and also reached the 5th floor of the labyrinth. But Gilbert thought this was an illusion, and that it would take them many years to do this. But Nemomo pointed her weapon at Gilbert and asked if he dared to call Light a liar, which scared Gilbert, and he said he didn't mean that. But Sophalon wanted to tell them that the adventurers were encouraging them, and that he wanted to tell them also to prove that one of the humans was capable of keeping up with the rest of the races, and that he might even surpass them. Then Sophalon and Gilbert's friends called out to them, and they went to them. There were some adventurers who didn't respect Light and his team, and Nemomo noticed this. Gold suggested they prove their worth. After that, Light and his team flew and were about to go to the 5th floor of the labyrinth, but they saw Mia and the rest of the team, and landed near them and welcomed them again. Light told them they hadn't run into each other for a while, but Mia's brother told him the labyrinth was big, and it was rare to meet someone you know by pure coincidence. Then Mia's brother presented Mia to Light so she could give him something. Then Mia presented something to Light as a token of thanks, but Light took this thing and asked Mia what it was. Then Mia told Light that she learned this from her grandmother and it was a burn ointment, but it didn't remove scars but helped relieve pain. But Mia asked Light if he didn't want it, but Light told her of course he wanted it, and thanked her. But Mia's brother told Light that Mia wanted to return the favor, and this was what came to her mind after thinking a lot. But Light thought Mia should be rewarded, and showed her something precious, and asked her to take it, which surprised Mia. But she told him she shouldn't accept something precious like this. But Light liked Mia's gift and asked her to accept this as a token of thanks too. Then Mia looked at her brother until he agreed for her to take it, and she wore it. Mia really liked this gift and so did the rest of her team, and Mia thanked Light for this. After that, they continued flying at night. But Nemomo thought it wasn't fair for Light to give Mia an expensive bracelet like this in exchange for a burn ointment. But Light thought the bracelet suited Mia a lot, but Gold thought Light chose this bracelet especially for Mia, and this was a noble and kind act from him. Then they moved to the 5th floor, but there was no one there. Gold suggested they should attract attention, but Nemomo got angry and told Gold he had no right to do this. Then Light asked them to hunt the entities they needed, and when they agreed to this, he instantly teleported to his mansion. His assistants were waiting for him there, and they welcomed him. Then May presented tea to Light and asked him about his trip. Light told her it was refreshing, and that he met new people and saw goodness there too. Then Light asked Eli about the latest revenge operations they carried out. Eli told him they were very close and would be completely ready. Light thought he could now rely on Eli, and that he didn't need to come back, which made Eli feel embarrassed. Light asked her to continue the work and to use all the resources she wanted. Then he asked May to continue managing things in the abyss, and asked Oyuki to continue exploring in the ancient forest. But Nazuna asked Light what she should do too. But Light asked Nazuna to protect everyone when he wasn't there, because a supervillain might appear at any time. Nazuna assured him that no one would get hurt while she was there. Eli asked Nazuna if she was satisfied with this work, but Nazuna told her that her work was on hold until they finished their work, and asked Eli to finish it quickly. But Eli assured Nazuna that she would do her work precisely because Light deserved this. But Light couldn't wait, and he would really enjoy seeing the look of despair on Sasha's face. Then we moved to Sophielin and Gilbert on the 3rd floor talking about Light's team. Sophielin heard that Light cast a tactical spell without muttering when they defeated the multi-legged monster, but Gilbert objected to this. But Sophielin told him that the witness was human, and here Gilbert thought it might be true, and thought Light was a real knight resurrected. But Sophielin wanted to believe this, and wished it was so, because he wanted a real knight to overthrow this corrupt system that hates humans. After that, Sophielin told Gilbert he was going to relieve himself, and when he came back, he asked Gilbert to wake the others to change shifts. But he saw Kaido had killed Gilbert and the rest of his friends too, which shocked Sophielin. He tried to maintain his focus and not respond to Kaido, which angered Kaido. Kaito said to Sophielin, "Do you dare ignore me when I'm talking to you?" and told him that humans are weak creatures. But Sophielin didn't respond to him either, and was thinking about what he should do. But Kaido became more angry and told Sophielin that even the lowest worms would move if they saw their friends being crushed, and asked him how pathetic would that be. But Sophielin said to himself that he must escape and tell the guild, and he created smoke and ran quickly. But Kaido told him he was a coward to run away, but he couldn't escape, and he received a blow that knocked him to the ground. He was surprised how this happened since he created smoke, and when he looked behind him he found Kaito hovering in the air. But he received another blow from Yanak that made him lose consciousness. Yanak said he ran away without thinking twice, and that humans are really cunning and disgusting. But Yanak told Kaito it was strange because he asked for live humans, but he killed them, except for this one. But Kaito thought one lab rat was enough. But Yanak thought it wasn't enough, because successful experiments are only built on top of many failures. But Kaito would be careful next time. But there was no human insect that dared to resist him, because he would turn it into a piece of meat. But Yanak was happy to have someone to experiment on. We moved to the guild, and Nemomo presented the jewels to the guild employee and demanded angrily that Light's rank be raised. However, the employee felt afraid of her and informed her that she had indeed done so, promoting him from rank F to rank D. But Nemomo was not satisfied with this. The employee explained that she has a system she must comply with, but Nomomo believed the system should be changed for Light because he has achieved great success and deserves a rank S or SS. The employee told Nomomo that she really cannot do anything for him, but if he completes another major mission, then his rank could possibly be raised. We then move to Light's house, where Light and Cand are studying a new mission about a serial killer of adventurers who is on the loose. Light thinks this will be suitable. Here, Gold thinks this is a new way for promotion. Nomomo saw that this killer is unknown, and no one knows anything about him. Gold suggested to Light that he use one of his gacha cards to track him with it. However, Light's cards are random from the gacha, and he doesn't think he'll be that lucky. Nomomo suggested requesting support from the Abyss. Gold also suggested casting a wide net of people. Light saw that this killer targets humans and shouldn't be left without deterrence. Suddenly, they felt something approaching them and prepared well. Then one of the magical circles appeared, and Mia descended from it into Light's hands. After that, the bracelet that was tied to her was broken. They then placed Mia on the bed and Light cast a healing spell on her. He said he would dive into her memories to learn what happened. Then we go to Mia's memory where a group of adventurers appeared, warning them about the human killer and asking them to move quickly from this place and also inform any team they meet. After that, Mia's brother suggested they hurry to escape from this forest. They walked a lot until they felt severe exhaustion, and night fell upon them. They had not reached a safe area yet, and camping could expose them to danger. Then Kaido and Yanak appeared to them. Yanak told them it was dangerous to be in this place at night, and asked Gimra if they had met these people before. But Mia suggested to her brother to tell them about the human killer because they might not know about it. Mia's brother informed them of the matter and asked them to leave the maze to preserve their lives. Kaito explained that this is why a large number of adventurers have disappeared. Yanak thanked them. Here, Gimra thought they weren't evil, but Yanak said they should have hidden the matter more than this. However, Kaido believed the guild would be less organized than this, and no one would discover their secret, but Mia's brother was surprised and asked them what they were talking about. Yanak said humans are always stupid. Mia's brother asked, "Should I explain to you in detail?" This shocked Mia's brother as they realized they are the human killers. Kaido drew his sword and told them they would be the ones to kill them today, causing Mia and her team to feel fear. Mia's brother asked Mia to escape, and they would buy her time. Mia's brother attacked them, but Kaido struck him with a blow that caused a severe injury. This caused Mia great sadness. The other two also attacked, but Kaito eliminated them with one blow. But Wordy asked Mia to escape loudly, and Gimra also stood to attack again. Then the two attacked Kaido, but before Kaido could strike them, Yanak asked Kaido to wait. However, Kaido didn't listen and killed them both. Yanak told Kaito that he needed them alive to conduct his experiments on. Kaito said he agreed with him. If any of them resisted, he would turn them into meat shreds. He told him there was still one alive. Yanak believed mages were more valuable than ordinary adventurers, but he also needed adventurers. Kaito said he would be more careful next time. Then Kaito approached Mia and asked Yanak if he wanted to assault him before practicing his experiment on her. But Yanak refused because he doesn't lean towards such things. He told him that no matter what he does to her, she must stay alive. But Kaito told Mia she should be happy because she will be his favorite toy, and humans like her should be proud because we want to deal with them. This caused Mia to cry. Kaito told her, "I think these are tears of joy, aren't they?" Here, they heard Mia's brother asking her to escape, which made Yanak happy that Mia's brother was alive. And this type of adventurer is good for experiments because he doesn't die easily and he needs him badly. Then Mia's brother asked her to escape quickly. Mia heard her brother's words and escaped, which annoyed Yanak. He asked Kaito to catch her. Then Mia's brother attacked Kaito, and Kaito was prepared for him, deflecting his blow and pushing him away. Then Mia's brother stood before Kaito, telling himself to be strong and that he must deceive Kaito to defeat him. He remembered what Gold told him, the shield for defense and the sword for attack. Mia's brother threw his sword at Kaito, and when Kaito avoided the sword strike, Mia's brother directed a shield blow at Kaito, causing Kaito to fall to the ground. Kaito succeeded in hitting him with a blow, but this ignited Kaito's anger, and he directed a sword strike, causing Mia's brother to be injured and unable to move. He advanced toward him to finish him, but Yanak stood before Kaito and told him he must bring the girl quickly so the outsiders won't know what they're doing, so things don't get complicated. Then we moved to Mia trying to escape, but suddenly 3 enormous blades appeared before her, preventing her from moving. Kaito also appeared behind her, floating on a blade. He told Mia she doesn't know how to respect a legendary warrior like him, and that she must learn a lesson about this respect. He also told her he can create many blades to use, because he possesses an extraordinary sword from the Kingdom of Thousand. He began using the blades to advance toward her. Mia told herself she won't give up and must defend herself and take advantage of the time her friends bought for her. She cast an ice spell on Kaito, but it didn't work on him. Mia tried to escape again, but received a blow from Kaito that knocked her to the ground. Kaito told Mia she should be proud when meeting a legendary warrior like him. Mia shouted at him and told him he's not a legendary warrior, and he's a failure and a coward, which reminded Kaito of his bad past. After that, he told Mia to be silent, and he was angry, and he directed the blades at her, but Mia desperately wanted to meet Light to save her. She grabbed her bracelet. Then we returned to Light and his team. Light said, "Let's start." Then we moved to Yanak, trying to heal Mia's brother to use him in experiments, and Kaito joined him. Yanak asked Kaito if he caught the girl. Kaito came to them believing that Mia came to rescue her brother, which angered Yanak, because Kaito lost the girl, and he was a former member of the White Knights defeated by a girl. Kaito said the girl disappeared into thin air. Yanak didn't believe him because no human has this power. Kaito told Yanak that Mia had something in her hands and pressed it, using instant teleportation. This made Yanak feel fear because she might tell the guild, and the guild would tell the Kingdom of Thousand, and then they would know about the sword thief from the kingdom. Kaito also thought the White Knights would come to them with their hellish leader, and he heard he exceeded 3,000, and all his knights are in the 2,000s, and their weapons rival the power of Grandiose Sword, which made Kaito very angry. Yanak asked Kaito to calm down, and that he should finish his research, and then Kaito will surpass his level, and they will solve all their problems. Kaito saw this was a great idea, and they won't fear the White Knights after that. Yanak suggested they move to a place to finish his experiments. Suddenly, Light appeared to them, and told them they won't go anywhere. Light looked at Gimra and Wordy, but they were dead. Gold, said Aleo, Mia's brother, was still alive and his wounds were bandaged, though not expertly done, which surprised Yanak from who did this. Then Light approached Aleo and cast a healing spell on him, causing Aleo to be healed. Light questioned himself about why there were people who did this and killed children, and how these children endured all this injustice. Yet they persevered despite the harsh discrimination in this world. They put forth their effort to live honestly and support Mia's dreams for the future, and they didn't deserve this fate. Light realized that the time had passed to change everything, and had they been in different circumstances, they would have become friends. Light threatened Kaito and Yanak, but Kaito mocked Light. Yanak believed Light was wrong, and said that he was the one who treated Elio and saved him from death. Then Light told them that Mia was now under his protection, which caused them to feel shocked. Light also informed them that he hadn't reported to the guild yet, which made Kaito feel happy. Now Kaito would kill Light and his friends, and he believed that things were always going in his favor because he was a legendary hero. Light saw Kaito as a hero, and this was a title that didn't suit garbage like him. Light also told them that they now belonged to him, and he wouldn't let the guild touch them. He informed them that they would suffer as Elio and Mia suffered, and they would beg for death. After torturing them, he threatened to take their lives with his own hands. Light advanced toward Kaito and Yanak. Kaito prepared well for the confrontation with Light. When Light approached him, Kaito threw a strong blow at him to defeat him, but Light countered it easily and asked Kaito if that was all his strength. This angered Kaito greatly, and he threw several blows at Light, but Light countered all of them easily, which amazed Yanak at Light's strength. Yanak knew that no human possessed such strength. Kaito continued throwing blows at Light. Gold thought that Kaito was like a mad dog. Nemomo understood that Kaito was doing this only out of anger. Light delivered a simple push to Kaito, then threw a punch that knocked him to the ground. Light wished that Kaito were stronger, otherwise he might kill him by accident. He described him as having fake strength. Kaito said he wouldn't let a human like Light kill him. He revealed his sword blade power and told them it was a Phantasma-class sword. Light would regret challenging him. He threw the blow at them, but Light escaped from all the blades. Nemomo saw that all the blades were charged with magic, but this posed no danger to Light. He flew high to avoid the blades, but Kaito appeared from behind him and threw a blow at him. But Light also countered it, which amazed Yanak once again at Light's strength, and how easily he countered Kaito's blows. Kaito's anger increased, and he told Light that he was a sorcerer hiding in these clothes on this adventure. But Light told Kaito that he was indeed a sorcerer, but Kaito didn't believe there was a sorcerer with this level of combat skill. Gold saw that Kaito was impressed by Light's performance, and didn't believe it. Nemomo also saw that Light deserved the title of the sorcerer with unlimited cards. Then Light used Ice Sword power, which amazed Kaito that he was doing this without an incantation. He threw a blow at Light, but Light countered it easily, which amazed Yanak once again at Light's countering of the blows. But Kaito didn't stop throwing blows. This time, Light used the Ice Sword as a protective shield for himself, which amazed both Kaito and Yanak at this. Light asked Kaito if he was finished with all his blows, which angered Kaito greatly. He couldn't believe what was happening, and couldn't be defeated by a small human like Light, because he possessed a weapon that surpassed any other weapon, being sacred and given to the old master. This surprised Light when he heard the master's name. Light asked Kaito how he knew about the master's name, which made Kaito laugh a lot. Kaito told Light that he knew him well because the master's blood flows through his veins, and they call him the Sub-Master. Light was shocked upon hearing this. Kaito believed he was stronger than Light, and that he could defeat him, and Light believed that Kaito was the deputy of the Great Master. Suddenly, Light told Nemomo and Gold that they would take them to the Abyss so he could gather all the information they had. Nemomo said she would handle Yanok, but Yanok told them that he was just a scientist, and that fighting was not his field. However, he told them that if they wanted to deal with him this roughly, he had no problem with it. He transformed his assistants into monsters, and told them that these were among his most important inventions, and that they were a hybrid of monsters and humans. Light looked at one of the monsters and remembered that he knew him well. Nemomo said that this man knew nothing about humanity, but Yanok believed that merging different species was the key to surpassing the limits of their true growth. However, he needed several humans to continue, and this was the problem he faced. His goal was to create an unmatched being, so he desperately needed more specimens. He believed there was no nobler or more honorable mission than his mission, but Light asked Yanok to be quiet and scolded him for being arrogant. However, Yanok believed he should not be scolded like this, and that his genius was too great for their tiny human minds to comprehend. After that, Light asked Gold and Nemomo to end the suffering of these poor people, because he had many questions for this scoundrel, so don't let him escape. Then Gold and Nemomo got ready. Then Yanok saw that they left him no choice, and that he would have to teach them in a way suitable for their weak minds. He asked the monsters to attack them, but Gold and Nemomo were able to overcome the monsters, and thought they would now catch Yanok. But Yanok told them not to celebrate too early, and that the time for victory had not yet come. Then the monsters woke up again and directed a strike at Gold and Nemomo, but they dodged the strike. At the same time, Kaito attacked Light, and directed several strikes at him, but Light dodged them all. Then Nemomo continued attacking the monster and directed strikes at it, but it didn't affect it, and it continued attacking her. Gold told Nemomo that she was unable to kill it, and asked her to watch how he fought. Gold also attacked the other monster, and directed strikes at it as well, but didn't finish it off completely, which made Yanok feel pleased about this. He asked them to surrender, and that he would treat them kindly when using them in his experiments. Nemomo thought Yanok was disgusting and vile, but Gold didn't want to make these poor people suffer more than they had suffered. Nemomo said, "Then let's put them to rest." She displayed her magical power, and Gold also used his magical power in his sword. They struck them, but Yanok began laughing at them and told them they never knew that these monsters couldn't be stopped, and that they couldn't kill them. But Yanok was surprised, and began wondering why they weren't regenerating, and that this was impossible. But Nemomo directed a strike at him that caused Yanok to fall to the ground. Gold thought Nemomo overdid it in hitting Yanok, but Nemomo didn't care about this, and wanted to change her shoes after hitting him. On the other side, we see Kaito receiving strikes from Light. Light said to him, "Why are you retreating when you're the one who started the fight?" Here Kaito remembered Elo's words to him as well, and thought that all these humans were fools. But here Kaito used his strongest strike and prepared to strike Light forcefully. He told him it was his greatest technique. He directed a strike at Light, but Light began dodging his strikes easily. Kaito continued directing several strikes to hit Light, but Light thought this technique was good, but not strong, which made Kaito very angry about this. He said to Light, "If you want to know how strong it is, then don't run away and receive it until you turn into pieces." Here Light landed on the ground and told him, "Okay, direct the strike." Kaito prepared well and directed a strike at Light to turn him into pieces. But he was surprised that Light was still alive. Nothing happened to him, and he wasn't even affected. He said to Kaito that he wasn't affected by anything at all, and asked him to increase his strikes more, which made Kaito very angry. He directed several quick strikes, but Light was still standing firm in his place. Then Light broke Kaito's sword, which amazed Kaito because this was a legendary sword. Then Light directed strikes at Kaito and knocked him to the ground and made him bleed. He told him he wouldn't kill him yet because he still needed to extract some information from him, and that he would torture him after that until death. But Kaito advanced toward Light and begged him not to kill him. He told him that he almost became the leader of the White Knights, and also told him that he would give him the magic sword. But Light said to him, "Will you surrender this easily?" He told him that heroes don't surrender no matter what happens, and after all your bragging about being the legendary hero, you don't dare to fight now, and you're not like Jimra and Elo and Wordy who sacrificed their lives to save Mia. Then he placed the magic sword in front of Kaito Kaido and asked him to fight him, and if he wounded him even with a small wound, he would let him go and wouldn't kill him. He asked him to exceed his limits and show him what he was really made of. But at this moment, Kaito ran away and started running, but Light injured his foot, which caused Kaito to fall to the ground and feel severe pain from this injury. Then Light approached Kaito and told him that he wasn't a legendary hero, as Mia said, because all he does is run away like a coward. Then Light approached Jimra and Wordy and asked them to forgive him because he couldn't do more than this. He told them that he would protect Mia and Ilo as well from any harm, and that he would bury them in the abyss and wouldn't leave them here. Then Kaito asked what would happen to him and Yanak. He asked him to have mercy on them, but Light told them that he wanted to know some information from them, so he would take them with him to the abyss. Then Light used instant teleportation and moved to the abyss, which led to Kaito's astonishment at the entire place, and Yanak as well. When they learned they were in the abyss, Yanak asked, "Why did you bring us here?" Nemomo told them it was because this was their place of residence, which led to Kaito's surprise because this was the most difficult dungeon in the world. But Yanak saw that this was a place difficult to reach. Nemomo directed a strike at him and told him, "Are you doubting Light's credibility and that she should kill him immediately?" She directed several strikes at him. Then Light's assistants came and welcomed them. Then Eli asked, "What are those strange creatures you brought with you?" Light told her they were criminals who conducted experiments on humans which led to killing many people. But he didn't kill them because they had information about the Great Lord, so he brought them here. Light's assistants felt angry because Kaido and Yanak assaulted humans, and they felt extreme anger, and each of them asked Light to give them the order to make them taste pain and finish them off completely because they don't deserve to live even for one moment, which led to Kaido and Yanak feeling extreme fear of them. But Light told them he didn't want to kill any of them before knowing some information. He asked his assistants not to approach them, and his assistants agreed to this. Then, Light asked Gold to treat Ilo, and asked Nimam to go with them to bury Jimra and Wordy. Here, Yanak asked Light to pardon him because he was just a victim, but Kaido told Light that Yanak was the one pulling the strings, and promised him he would help him surpass his level limit if he executed all his orders, and asked him to pardon him too. But Light told them, "You two behaved like the great ones, and trampled on people with your feet like worms, and surely some of them begged you for mercy." And he asked them, "How did you treat them then?" This led to both of them being surprised by this question, but Light told them they would receive the same treatment. Then we moved to Mia's room, and she woke up from her sleep, and Light was waiting for her. Mia asked, "Light, where is she?" Light told her this was the inn where he was currently staying. He told her they were on a mission to eliminate the adventurer killer. Mia asked about her brother and the others. Then Light looked at Ilo, which led to Mia also looking at him. He told her they saved Ilo and he would be fine. Then Mia asked about Jimra and Wordy, but Light showed her a part of their hair and told her this was what they managed to bring back. Then Mia held the parts of her friends and started crying immediately and thanked them very much. Then Light left the room feeling sad. He said to himself, maybe this was his punishment because he sought to raise his level, motivated only by revenge. Inside the room, Mia continued crying. The next day, Light moved to the guild. The guild employee was very happy with Light that he achieved many goals. She told him that now he could be promoted to C rank, which led to Light's surprise, and he thought he should capture the adventurer killer for the mission to succeed. But the employee told him this was fine, and that he gave them important information about the Dark Alpha behind this series of crimes. And more importantly, he saved 2 potential victims, so naturally he should be rewarded with promotion. Then we moved to Light's Inn, and he was gathered with Mia and Elo, and learned they had made a decision to leave. Elo confirmed they would leave in the morning. Gold was sad about their departure, and Nemomo asked them to take care of themselves. Elo told them, "You have given us so much," Mia said to Light. "There are no words sufficient to thank him." Then Light asked Elo what he intended to do. Elo said he would leave the adventuring life and return to his homeland. But Light suggested to Elo to find new companions to adventure with him. But Mia felt that part of her prevented her from continuing the path after what happened. But she thought her friends gave her the courage to become an adventurer and venture into the dungeon from the beginning. But Elo was unable to form new adventurers without Jimra and Wordy, and he wanted to return them to their homeland as they deserved. Light asked Mia, "What about the Magic Academy?" Mia answered him that she would study on her own instead, and that she didn't want to remain a beginner when she met him again, and that she would make a great effort to become a real sorceress. Light told her he was waiting for her, and Mia said they would meet someday, and Light confirmed this. Mia told him she would hold on to this promise, and that it was now a deal between them. The next day they departed, and Light was watching them from the inn window. Gold approached Light and told him not to worry about them. These two are pure of heart, and they would adapt to their new lives very quickly. Nimam saw that she would be happy if she met them again in the future. Light confirmed this, and that when he revealed his truth, he would take them to visit Jimra and Wordy too. Then Light said he would return to the abyss now. Then Light moved to the abyss, and his assistants were waiting for him. Light asked his assistants about the results of the investigation with Kaido and Yanok. They told him they used all methods and magic to penetrate every place in their brains, and they extracted the information before him and verified it through multiple interrogation means and didn't discover any contradictions. Then Eli said that Kaito was called the Great Lord's deputy, and this was a term given to those connected to the Great Lord through blood and known for easily gaining levels. May said, "It seems there's a belief that the world might perish if the Dark Lord was left without restraint." Light said this wasn't just a kingdom, but the entire world. And is this possible if there's only one Great Lord? Eli said this information came from Kaito's conversation with the commander of the White Knights, but his memory about it was extremely confused. May saw that it was difficult to draw any conclusions at the present time. Light saw they hadn't reached a clear thread after all this. He started thinking and said to himself, so the only evidence is the White Knight's commander. Then Light asked about Kaito and Yanok's condition. Eli showed him Kaido and Yanok after extracting information from them. Light saw it was time to get rid of them, cast death magic on them, and disposed of them. After that, Light asked Eli about developments in the plan. Eli told him all necessary preparations were completed, and she was waiting for a word from him, and they could proceed with the revenge plan against Alpha Sasha at any time. The operation to capture the White Knights would begin, and it seemed all their members were from the Great Lord's deputies category, so this method would deal with any unexpected threat. The deputy commander was also engaged to that traitor Sasha, and this meant he might be useful as a hostage. Light saw that Eli planned well and asked her to start implementing the plan. Then we moved to Sasha's house and her fiancé, the deputy commander of the White Knights, Mikan. Sasha was happy when she saw Light's face after he was hit by a priceless arrow. Mikan thought he missed a very wonderful sight. He said he participated in human extermination operations, and they always begged for their lives with the most hideous and miserable faces before finishing them off, and it was truly an enjoyable sight. Sasha confirmed this, and that she didn't see anything more enjoyable than this, and wondered who would think humans could become uglier than they already were. Mikan said there weren't many ladies who shared this sense of humor with a crude knight like him, and he was very happy he met Sasha. Sasha said she was very happy, and the happiest day was when they got engaged. Then we moved to Light, and he said their meeting was near. Then we moved to Sasha, as she travels in her own carriage, and her personal maid was with her. Sasha was happy that she had met Mika, and that he was very handsome. Her maid also confirmed that they were very suitable for each other. She said it was hard to believe that the youngest lady in the palace would get married and become a wife. However, Sasha told her that the wedding date was still far away, but the maid said to her that this was nonsense, and that they should hurry, otherwise the day would come when she would not be able to wear a wedding dress, which led to Sasha feeling pessimistic. She asked her not to say such things so as not to bring them bad luck. Then the carriage suddenly stopped because one of the humans fell to the ground. He worked for a man of the 1,000, and the man of the 1,000 struck the human worker so he would continue his work. The maid noticed that the human could not do even a simple task at all. Sasha also noticed that humans could not do anything at all. While she was looking out the window, she saw Light walking ahead of her from one of the side streets. But Sasha did not stay in her place, and got out of the carriage and followed Light to catch him. However, she could not catch him until she reached a dead end. She thought her eyes had deceived her, but when she looked behind her, she found a piece of paper written on it, "Waiting at the tower," and signed by Light. This caused Sasha great annoyance. Her maid came after her to check on her, but Sasha was in a state of sadness. She said that Light would destroy everything, and that she would lose everything as well. Meanwhile, Light and Iway were watching her. Light said to Iway that the time had come. Iway asked Light to leave the matter to her, and told him that Sasha would learn the hard way that she had chosen the wrong person to betray and mistreat and mock. She would make her feel pain and suffering greatly. Then we moved to the headquarters of the White Knights, where there were 2 children of the 1,000 throwing knives at one of the humans who was tied up. The 2 children were Naya and Kia, and were very much enjoying themselves. There was also one of the human girls present who felt annoyed about the other human being stabbed with a knife while tied up. Then Sharfath said to the leader of the knights that there is a hero of the 1,000 who says he is a hero and claims his name is Kaito. He united with another Dark 1,000 and stole a legendary sword from the treasury. He received a reward because he fought adventurers. Now he has been caught by one of the human adventurers and was kicked and disappeared afterward. He heard that they will be tasked with searching for this matter, which caused Musty great fear. He said it was natural to take responsibility for the problems caused by a former member of the knighthood, but Charfath saw that Musty was very strict. On the other hand, one of the children succeeded in hitting the human again, but Charfath asked them to stop playing and kill him. However, the 2 children told him that this servant belongs to them alone, and they can do whatever they want with him. They said to him that what what they do is better than how he deals with women. They were about to quarrel, but Musti told them to stop because they are the White Knights. He told them that humans are weak creatures and that keeping one of them as a pet for a period of time is acceptable. However, their lives are nothing but painful struggle, so they should kill them and grant them a quick and beautiful death. He asked them why they do not understand this. Charfath confirmed Musti's words and agreed with him. Nia and Kia scolded Charfath once more for agreeing with Musti, but here the leader intervened and asked them to be silent. When he spoke, everyone felt fear, which led to the killing of one of the birds. Then the leader asked Nia and Kia to stop torturing the human, because this will affect their skills. He asked Musti to abandon the mentality of wisdom before it conflicts with his duty. He requested from Sharfhat to kill the servant, and he did so immediately. Then the leader requested from Nia and Kia to dispose of the body. He told Misty that he had a task she must complete. The human girl was feeling intense terror, but Sharfhat told her not to worry and asked her to leave now. However, the leader requested from Sharfhat to keep his lusts with humans at a minimum. Sharfhat asked the leader if he feared that their blood would be contaminated, but the leader said that history shows that they are the 1,000 races that mix the blood of the Maestro and the White Knights, who consist of the blood of the Maestro that awakened the running power in that blood. Sharfhat saw that this was true, but every person other than Misty reached the maximum extent of power. But the leader said this is the crux of the matter because no new Maestro has appeared in the world for thousands of years, so do not contaminate blood that is difficult to obtain. But Sharfhat clarified to him that he could produce a hybrid child between the 1,000 and humans, and that what he is doing is merely a hobby. On the other side, Nia and Kia were disposing of the human's body. Sharfhat continued his speech and told the leader that he does not get bored with humans because he laughs a lot, but his words did not please Kia and Nia at all, and they rebuked him. Sharfhat continued and told the leader that he will kill this girl soon, and that he finds pleasure in stabbing them from behind. Then the leader said fine, and informed him that royal orders would arrive regarding Kaito's chaos because he was a member of chivalry, no matter how bad, so the responsibility falls on them to settle matters. He left. Then we moved to Sasha, who was sleeping in her bed, but she wakes up because she felt something strange. Ellie was on the other side and displayed the tower in front of Sasha's window so she could see it. Indeed, Sasha saw the tower and wondered if this is the tower where light is waiting for me. Then we moved to one of the 1,000 traders driving his wagon, and he had 4 human children bound with him. While he was on his way to trade them, a giant monster appeared on the road for him, which caused the man to be surprised. Fear struck him, and he wondered about the presence of monsters on this road. He fled immediately. The monster approached the children, which caused them to feel intense fear. Then we moved to the Thousands Tavern, and the bartender said the latest news is that monsters appeared on the roads and cut off all supply operations. The 1,000 with white hair said that the presence of these monsters is because of the appearance of the Great Tower. The one with yellow hair said that kingdom forces are investigating the matter, but they are suffering from a lack of personnel. They posted pictures of the tower in the city and announced a huge reward for whoever provides them information about it. Light and Nemumo were among the people. Light saw that the commotion about this tower is big, and Nemumo thinks this will earn them another promotion. While Light and Nemumo were talking, Nemumo attracted the admiration of some young men standing in the back. Then the young men called out to Nemumo and offered her to join their team, and also told her that they are above level 150. Then they approached her and told her she was lucky because she would mix with the 1,000, and asked her to say goodbye to this little hat, meaning Light. Gold saw that these 1,000 do not distinguish between clay and dough, which made Light laugh. Then the 1,000 asked Nemumo if she would come with them or not, but Nemumo replied to them and told them to get lost, which caused the 1,000 to be surprised. Then Nemumo said to them that she only needs Light, and that they are not worth her time. Then Light said to the 1,000, "As you can see, Nemumo cannot be done without in the team." He asked them to leave her alone and treat her well, which caused Nemumo to be grateful to Light because of this talk. Then one of the 1,000 said to Light that no one asked for your opinion, and was about to direct a blow to him, but Light used a thunder arrow, which caused a commotion and almost killed the 1,000 man. Everyone was amazed at this power. Then Light and his team left, saying that this is how their reputation will spread more and more. He wished that things would go well with Oiki and the rest. Then we moved to the forest, and 3,000 men bound a small human girl and made her bait to be eaten by the monster. After that, they get information so they can also get the reward when delivering the information. They sacrifice this girl because she is a child and her price is not big for them. While they were talking, the child fell to the ground from the rope, but the man holding her rope showed no mercy and told her, "If you do not get up, I will come and beat you to death." Immediately, Immediately, the girl got up and continued walking. While the 1,000 was holding the girl, something strange fell on his hand. When he looked up, he was devoured by the monster, which caused fear in the other men, but they were also devoured immediately. Then the monster approached the girl and smelled her but left without eating her, which caused the girl to be amazed. Then some people came from behind the girl, but the girl thought she had not escaped yet. But one of these people cast a healing potion on her, which amazed the girl because all her wounds had healed, and she felt safe then. Then the men raced to help her, and each of them would offer her a service as well. Then the leader of the rescue team contacted Oiki and told her that they had rescued a girl and that she was now safe. Then we moved to Oiki, who is on top of the tower, and said to him, "Okay." Then Ellie joined Oiki and asked Asuka's how things were going. She also told her that this is the first time since they climbed to the top that she has to control multiple monsters at the same time, and asked her if this caused her any problems. But Oiki has no problems. Here Ellie saw that things are going well. Ellie said to Oiki that Light asked you to get rid of meddlers who might hinder their mission. Ellie said to herself, are things really going smoothly? She sees this as a test for them about their ethical standards and emotional ability to judge. She also said to herself about the possibility of a non-zero chance of a fatal error where one of them might mistake right for wrong, and should she give a warning to everyone except Oiki? But this would conflict with Light's desires. But Oiki told Ellie not to worry about it. But Ellie thinks that their existence is to serve Light in the first place, so don't you think we should do our best to support him by understanding his intentions? But Oiki thinks there is no need for them to be more than what Light expects, because they live and fight for him and are always by his side to protect him. All they need to think about is being useful, and anything beyond that has nothing to do with the matter. Here Ellie saw that Oiki agreed to be a pet and that she could not understand this. But Oiki cannot understand Ellie's perspective, and merely seeing her try to comprehend Light's will makes her want to kill her. But Ellie asked Oiki if she could even kill her, but Oiki said it was a beautiful opportunity to reveal our powers to each other, which amazed Ellie, and she said that Oiki's sense of humor is extremely bad. But Oiki warned Ellie that if she refuses to comply with Light's desires, she will kill her. Then we transitioned to Oki's men again after they had delivered the girl to a safe place, and also informed Oki of this. Then the girl expressed her thanks to the men, and the men said their farewell words to her. Then we transition again to Eli and Oki, and Eli said it seems my fears were misplaced, and she flew into the air. Then we transition to Oki's men, and they were discussing how cruel the Alfar are to do this to children, and that using humans as bait is something very bad. They believe there is a reason behind this that has led to this wickedness. One of them thought that all other races have lost their morals, but the leader with red hair asked them to stop chattering, and told them that they would move at dawn, and asked them not to be late, and the rest of the team confirmed to the leader. Then we transitioned to Sasha's house, and she was holding the paper that Light had written. She was wondering what she should do, and that she cannot go to the tower because of the monsters there, and if she asked for help from the White Knights, they would discover that Light is still alive. She must enter this tower and kill Light, and she swore to him strongly. Then we transitioned to the royal palace, and in a meeting between the Alfar's advisors, one of the advisors said they should send the White Knights team to the forest to get rid of all the monsters, so that harm does not spread to the people. The advisor also asked Hardy, leader of the White Knights, for his opinion. Hardy told the advisor that he has great respect for prioritizing the safety of the people above everything, and asked him if this suggestion was made while he was in full control of his mental faculties. The advisor thought that Hardy is also not in full control of his mental faculties. Hardy said they have no information whatsoever, yet you want to send the White Knights, and this is like using a sacred sword to dig a hole in the dirt, and as long as they don't have any information, this wouldn't help at all. But the queen of the Alfar, who is called Leaf, intervened and said she agrees with Hardy's opinion, the leader of the White Knights. She also asked them to raise the reward so that everyone cooperates to bring information about this tower. Then we transitioned to Queen Leaf's chamber, and Hardy joined her and told her, "Thank you, mother, because you stood by my side," and he also thanked her because he didn't want to waste his men on a foolish plan made by an amateur. Leaf told Hardy that, I won't put you in danger, but Hardy sees that this advisor is very annoying, and the appearance of this giant tower and all his rushing to do something about it is nothing but another game in his political game, which made Leaf laugh, and she pities this poor advisor, and she thinks there is nothing worse than being on the wrong side of you. Hardy believed that this advisor wants to overthrow the royal system, but Leaf doesn't worry about this as long as she has her knight and her son Hardy. But her bigger problem now is this strange tower, and if it were the first stone in a domino chain that could topple the empire, dealing with it would be very annoying, and Hardy believes that this is the return of the Demon Lord once again. But Leaf thinks that if it was the Demon Lord, he would be defeated through the cooperation of the the 8 nations and their combined strength. But this would lead to something else. Hardy said, "Do you mean the birth of a hero from the human race?" And Leaf hoped to destroy humanity before that happens. But Hardy believed that the world would turn against them if they reached that point. But Leaf said there is a possibility that this hero is Maestro. Hardy thought if so, they must confront and kill him. And Leaf said if we don't do this, we will face annihilation. Then Hardy asked Leaf, "Wasn't there one of the candidates to be Maestro?" But Leaf heard that he failed and was disposed of. But Hardy wished he was the one who carried out this task. But Leaf thinks that these acts are not befitting of me, Hardy. But Hardy thinks that humans bring disasters to their world and have no right to live, and it would be great to prove this to them by his sword. Then we transitioned to the guild, and there were many Alfar adventurers who wanted to apply for a reconnaissance mission to get information and earn money. Light and his team were also there, and the adventurers whom Light had beaten were also present, looking angrily at Light and his team. Then Sasha appeared and called out to Light, which caused Nememo and Gold to prepare for battle. But Light asked them not to do anything and told them she is Sasha. Then Sasha approached them and asked Light to look at her, and when Light looked at her, Sasha asked him to remove that mask. But Nememo told her that Light doesn't take orders from anyone. But Light told her that he didn't remove the mask because he has some burns. But Sasha struck him so he would remove it, and then the mask fell to the ground.